It's the Laugh Therapist.
What up, everybody? What up? This is your boy, Vernard Hines, a.k.a. the Laugh Therapist. And I want to thank y'all for coming in tonight on this Facebook Live. Listen, y'all, we are I am so glad to have y'all here that I don't know what in the world to do. Listen, I want to thank y'all for tuning in last couple of Tuesdays ago. Listen, we had a good time. Mr. Raymond Bonds, he came through and he wrecked shop, y'all. And we just gonna continue to do this thing. We're gonna continue to processing traumatic situations differently. All right, PTSD, but we call it processing traumatic situations differently. Listen, y'all. Tonight's sponsor is the Jamal Bates Morning Show. All right, it's a nationally syndicated urban morning show hosted by multiple award-winning Jamal Bates. All right, we got Miss Ashley Stevens and we got Miss Rebecca Brumfield, and of course, you got your boy Vernard Hines, the Laugh Therapy. You can listen to us Monday through Friday, okay? Monday through Friday, 6 to 10 a.m. You can go to my website, www.thelaughTherapist.com, and you can click on the link that says listen, and you can listen to our show. Listen, y'all, we got a lot of good stuff coming out. It is powerful. We laugh, we pray, is inspirational, but most importantly, we have a good time. And I know y'all want me to hurry up and shut my mouth because y'all know who I'm bringing on as my guest tonight. Yes. I believe everybody deals with me because of her. Okay. And tonight's Facebook Live is going to be Married to PTSD. All right. So without further ado, I'm going to bring on my lovely wife, Trish Hines, who is my military caregiver, but we call her my partner in recovery. Hello, baby. I can call you baby. Hello, baby.
Hello.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Doing great. Excited to be on your podcast tonight.
Well, I thank you for having me. I know I had to talk to your people to have your people talk to my people.
Right.
And you know, I got multiple people in my head. So hey, you didn't know who, you know what I'm saying?
As long as one of them are writing a check, we are good.
See what I'm saying? Because listen, y'all, when I met my wife at the Funny Bone here in Virginia Beach, Virginia. And when I met my wife, y'all, I was looking for friends with benefits. My wife was looking for a man with military benefits. And I guess it all worked out. But listen, y'all, we are not experts by chance at all. We are not licensed. All we are two people who have been married for 10 years and been dealing with the PTSD in our marriage for 10 years. I am an Army veteran. I did 20 years, 7 months, and 4 days in the United States Army, and I retired. And my lovely wife married me and didn't know anything about the military or anything about PTSD.
Nothing at all.
She found out real quick.
How?
She found out real quick. But it was a lot going on with us and understanding PTSD and knowing the rights and the wrongs and what to do and what not to do. Should I be on medication? I didn't want to take medication, all that stuff. So we're going to try to be transparent, as my bishop said, transparent as possible, Trish, transparent as possible. And I know a lot of people ask, well, why are we doing this? Well, Trish and I have been talking to a lot of couples with PTSD that are going through this with PTSD and stuff like that. So I was like, maybe why don't I just have you as a guest on my Facebook Live and podcast, and we can go from there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, me and PTSD. Okay. With you marrying me, not knowing PTSD, not understanding PTSD, because I believe long as we was dating, I met, you lived in North Carolina, so we would see each other every other weekend. As long as we was doing that, it was good, correct?
That's correct. And actually, the dating, I guess they call it the honeymoon stage of dating, I didn't see nothing.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't see a thing. I was just in love. I didn't see none of the red flags at all.
That's what happened. And listen, I ain't see none of your red flags with OCD either.
That's true.
That's what happened when you're in love and that and that ambiance going and you seeing each other every other weekend and
Right.
then boom, you living together.
That's right.
You
That's
are
right.
living
It
together.
changes. It changes your life. And what the first thing I want everyone to understand is that PTSD has the potential to ruin your marriage. It's just the potential,
Come on
but you
now.
be willing to do the work.
Come on now.
And it's not easy. It's hard. It's hard
Mhm.
where anything that's good what's the saying? Anything that's worth
Worth.
having, you got to fight for it. And that's what it is. You have to fight through the challenges, the dark days, all of it. It's
Correct.
all a part of the puzzle. So
Correct.
it's been a journey.
It has been. Now I tell you, it has been a journey. One of our things that really kept us is laughter.
Yes.
Laughter,
Yes.
laughter really, really kept us in our marriage and really allowed us to um to understand that, hey, there's gonna be some things that's gonna happen, but we got to laugh about it. You know what I'm
You got
saying? And one of the main things I want to say that my wife did, once she found out exactly what I had, and I ain't try to hide it from her after we got married. I hid it from her when we were dating. That sorry, that's her fault. She should have paid attention more. But I hid it from her. But once she really found out, she started learning about it.
hmm
She started learning about PTSD and how it affects me.
Right, because it's just that but it doesn't just affect you, it
Correct.
affects everyone
Correct.
that's connected to you. The house, we were blended family, newly blended family. It affects the children. It affects every aspect of your life.
Correct.
So I really wanted to just find out, well, what is it? Is it, what is it? What makes him tick? But what I also found out was that PTSD is not just military.
Come on now.
I think I had a little bit of PTSD too, growing up in Baltimore.
Correct.
And most of us have had or have PTSD.
Correct.
So it's educating yourself and just finding out what exactly is it. It's not just crazy Joe over in the corner. It's just so much more to it.
Correct.
So that part was very important to me.
Yeah, because I think, being newly married and stuff, I didn't want you to see me as weak.
hmm
I didn't want you to see me as, okay, she got this man, now she got these kids, we raising. Now I'm going through all this. I'm on medication. So I'm on medication. So I was trying almost everything to be her hero when all she wanted me to be was well or
Right.
myself. And I couldn't see that.
So that's correct.
I
That
couldn't
is
see that
correct.
at
So
first.
for me, with the researching part, I also wanted to make sure that I was present when he went to his appointments. I
Hmm.
was there at every single one, taking
Hmm.
notes, making sure the doctor know that this is not just somebody that you can just tell anything to or just
Hmm.
give him a bunch of medication or just push him to the side. I was also there to advocate for you
Correct.
and to also just hear it firsthand.
Hmm.
So that was so key. You have to be able to do the research and make sure you are with your spouse when they
Correct.
go to appointments, and
Correct.
just make sure that you are attentive, aware, and just gain as much knowledge as you can.
And let me say this: whoever the spouse is that is having the PTSD and dealing with it, you have to assure or reassure your spouse that, baby, I want you there.
Yeah.
I want you to be at my appointments. I want you to understand what I'm going through. I
That's correct.
want you to be my advocate when I can't be my advocate.
That's
Because
correct.
I would get frustrated and it seemed like once my wife was with me on my appointments and was with me with my therapist, it seems like they took interest in, let's do whatever we can. It wasn't a brush off. It was like, okay,
hmm
okay. And we included the entire family.
Yes.
We included she wanted to include the dogs. And I'm like, why the dogs got to go to my therapist session? but we included the entire family because it affects the entire
Yeah,
family.
that is not the time to have secrets.
Not the time to have secrets.
Everything needs to be in the open so that we
Correct.
can understand how everything that we do impacts you as well.
Hmm.
And the other thing that was important to me is finding out once we went to I can remember going to his first therapy appointment. And the therapist was like, do you really understand how PTSD is affects him? And I'm like, I thought I did, reading in the, book articles and stuff. And she ended up showing me what the brain looks like. And I think it's part of the
Medulla oblongata.
medulla, something like that. Yeah, she showed me the actual part of the brain that's affected with PTSD, and it's actually a brain injury.
That's
And
the wording.
never, I never looked at it that way, and I think a lot of people are missing that. It's actually a part of your brain that is injured
Right.
from that traumatic experience.
Correct.
So, listening to her and understand, I'm like, wow, this is really deeper than I thought.
Hmm.
But it really opened up my eyes as to, okay, this is not just something that, they put on you or, something that you're just diagnosed with. It has a lot to do with your brain
Correct.
and yeah,
So what now?
and your actions.
And your actions. You're right. You're
Yeah.
right. You are truly right. And as we talked about the secondary part, you know, um, just walking on eggshells and didn't know what to say or what she could say or how to say it. And you know, I felt like I was when my kids wanted to run and jump on me and run and play and stuff like that. I felt like I'm taking away a part of their childhood, but
Hmm.
by not being that parent that we can just do it, all that stuff. But once we took them to the therapist and she
Correct.
explained to them about me and about my PTSD, my daughter became my biggest security blanket.
Yes.
She was like, I got it. Ain't nobody gonna mess with my dad. It
Yeah.
was like she
Yeah.
understood that it's not towards her. It's not
Right.
toward it. So that's why we saying we have to talk about it. We have to go and seek counseling. We have to include the whole family because once and this is what I like. This is what I shared too. Once I explained to my friends and to my family about my PTSD and my triggers, if you don't want to be around me, I am okay.
That's correct.
We have to be okay with somebody who don't. If you don't want to be around Vernon, it's okay. And my wife, my kids have been my biggest advocate. If they see me getting stressed, they be like, "You need to chill, pops. You need to chill, baby. Relax." Because we get to the point where I just want y'all to understand me. But
Hmm.
how can they understand you if you don't include the family in what you're going through? They see you going through it. They see you struggling. And mainly a wife is all she want to do is help.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? She's the helpmate. How can I assist you? So instead of saying help, how can I assist you? We are in this together.
Right. But you
We,
have to learn how to do that because you don't want to be a hindrance to his recovery.
mhm,
You want to be helpful, but there's like a thin line between being helpful and then just being a bully,
mhm,
so to speak. So if you're telling me, for example, I figured out what your triggers were, and that's another key thing. Find out what his or her triggers are,
mhm.
and that kind of helps you to navigate through the day, basically, because I know the things that will kind of take him from 0 to 100. I know if I see him struggling, trying to help him it doesn't give him the warm and fuzzies. Let him go through it. If he mess up or whatever, then if he asks you for help, then that's when you come in.
That's right.
But because doing it the way that I was doing initially, I just wanted to make sure he was okay and
Woo.
help him, and it didn't go well.
It didn't go well. I mean, I'm
My spirit is to nurture.
correct.
But someone with PTSD, it makes them feel less than, or they're not able to do it. They're weak. They're, you're married to a weakling.
Correct. Correct.
So that's it. That was really, really important.
Yeah. I want to thank Isaiah Johnson out of Florida for tuning in. Miss Gloria Davis out of Killeen, Texas,
Yeah.
and my old working buddy, Shannon Weimer. Shannon said, I never knew this, V. I remember you saying things about PTSD, but I never knew how serious you were. See, that
Wow.
even folks on my job knew about my PTSD because I had to let them know what are my triggers. I had to let them know because, people in the government play games and they're like and half of the people in the military still work for the government. And so when I would come, I was always comical. But that was my defense mechanism because I would get anxiety real quick. And it took me an hour to drive to work. So I'm already frustrated. I done cussed everybody out, put the middle finger on, then I got to put on Christian music 5 minutes before I get to the gate, try to get back with the Lord. But they were good. They were good workers. They knew. They was like, okay, if I got stressed, they would back off. Because when I left the government, I went straight to work for the Army. My brain didn't get a chance to detach from the military. I still was in the military. And being married to you and not knowing anything about the military, you know what I'm saying? When you would go to the VA hospital with me, you would be like, wow, babe, I thank God that you can walk. I thank God that you are not so it makes
Yeah.
you appreciate the things appreciate the things that you do have.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now, let's get into a part that very touchy for some people, but we're gonna touch that intimacy part.
Uh-oh.
That
Uh-oh.
intimacy part. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to I don't want no medication because it's gonna mess with my manhood.
Mm.
It might it
Mm.
might make me not be able to do what I want to do and stuff like that. I say,
Don't take your medicine. You're gonna be doing it by yourself because your wife's gonna be gone.
you know, you know, I I've heard it all. The pills make me droggy. The pills make me sluggish. I get that. But that's when you go back to your doctor and you say, hey,
Mm-hmm.
this is what this is doing to me. I don't care if you take an anxiety pill. I don't care if you take a mental health pill. I don't care if you take a blood pressure pill. I don't care if you take something for diabetes. There's always going to be side effects.
Mm-hmm.
But I would say if I got a side effect that's going to make me think about jumping off a bridge or something like that, I'm going to make sure I'm taking care of that.
Right.
I'm going
That's
to make
right.
sure I'm taking care of that. And, once I'm going to say permission because I don't call her my caregiver. I call my wife my partner in my recovery
Mm-hmm.
because when she is my partner in my recovery, that means I have to do something
That's
also, not just her. Because when you say caregiver, I'm the one with the injury.
that language. That's right.
You supposed if
Right.
I leave, if I don't want to do nothing, you the one. But in a partner in recovery, that means if I'm on meds, I need to take my meds.
That's correct.
I
That's
need to
correct.
take my meds.
Even days you've had days where you felt like you felt great,
Felt
and I'm
great.
like, yes, you are, sir.
End up
Yes,
spazzing out.
that's right. And it's not really for you; it's for us. It's for us that have to deal with you.
And you know what? It's amazing you said that because that's the way I started looking at it. I
Mm-hmm.
started looking at I don't need this medication. They need me to take this medication because to me,
Absolutely.
I'm all right. I'm in my own, I can shut down, be in my own little world. I ain't got to say nothing to nobody. I'm good. But you have to be engaged. And I was a disengager.
Yes,
So once you disengage from your wife, then at the end, you want to ride rodeo. That's in any marriage, it's like, I don't want you to ride rodeo with me and you ain't doing what your doctor told you to do. You ain't going to your group therapy. You ain't doing anything.
right thing. And then you would disengage, and that would make me feel isolated and alone. And it makes me feel like, oh, well, what did I do today that made him feel this way? And it's not about me.
Correct.
It's not about it. So don't take it personal when your spouse is just, having an off day. It's nothing that you did. It's something chemically going on. But if
Correct.
you pay attention, if you pay close attention and develop, like I said, the whole educating yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Ask him what his triggers are. Ask him what things that can really set you off.
Correct.
And it could be small, it could be something small. You'd be like, well, that doesn't make sense. That's just so small. But it's his perception of what's
Correct.
going on. So that piece is really, really key. I know not to walk up on him and him not know that I'm coming. You. I know not to, if I'm coming by the bedside and you're asleep, I kind of rub you a little bit because I don't want to startle you.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the little things and taking care and finding out about your spouse.
Correct.
Learn about spouse. We all have to do that, regard if you have PTSD or not. You have to get to know your spouse. But the whole withdrawal, the isolation that you both feel, it can really, if you allow the enemy to really play with your mind, it can really wreck a lot of things in your life.
Correct. And that's when you have to love that person for that person.
Absolutely.
You
That's
have to
exact.
be in love.
Not only in love, but you have to have that agape love to understand that, okay, I love him regardless of his behavior. I love him regardless of, what he may have done. Now, I'm not talking about,
Violent.
abusing
Yeah,
anybody.
nah, we ain't talking
Yeah,
about
we're not
that.
that at all. That's a whole different
Right.
subject. But as far as loving him or her through it,
Correct.
and sometimes that's just being silent, being quiet, being observant, but just kind of loving him through it and letting him know that him or her know that they're not by themselves.
Mm. We
You
and when knowing a person, to me, I'm just say me, a lot of my baggage also came from childhood.
hmm
So you put that on top of this PTSD, and now she getting all this at what you was 40 something when we got married. So I'm throwing all this up, and you like, hold up. I knew she loved me because I would have left myself. You know,
hmm
I wasn't violent. I wasn't dogmatic or just loud. I was very withdrawn. So it made her feel like I don't want to be with her, or something was wrong with her.
We could have just had a great time. Everything was going well, and split second, he's depressed.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, we just had a good time. What is going
Yeah.
on with you? What did I do? But it's just the chemical imbalance, and that's why medication is so critical.
Correct.
Find medication that's going to work for you, because everything is, different things that doctors prescribe you may not be what works for your body.
Correct.
So you have to work with them, go through the trials and the samples and this, that, and the other, but to find out what's going to work for you.
Correct.
And
It's
if you don't need medication, then that's great.
that's great.
But
Yeah, we're not.
that's
Yes,
great.
that is, if you can do it without, working
Yes,
out, all other, that is great.
yes,
But for me at my house,
yes.
I'm gonna
You
take the.
take pills.
Oh my God. And and another thing that really is sleep,
Yes.
because I sleep, but I don't really think I sleep. Three to four nights out the week, honestly, I'm still dreaming about I'm stuck in Iraq trying to get out. And it took me about 6, 7 months to really tell you that,
Mm-hmm.
to really break that down to her. And she was like, baby, you irritated during the day. Are you sleeping good? And I was like, yeah, yeah.
He looked like he was sleeping well. You
Right.
know, tossing and turning. He used his sleep apnea machine, and I just thought that he was sleeping well.
But my mind is running. And I finally told her, babe, this is what's going on. So she was like, I got it. This is what we're gonna do. Your hind part's going to bed a little earlier. You ain't
Mm-hmm.
gonna be standing up here on this phone right before you go to bed. She has permission. And a lot of wives don't have permission in this department to speak into, because a lot of us felt like you don't understand because you weren't there. Okay, I wouldn't want her to be there or him to be there. but this is me. Just like if we got married and a catastrophic injury happened and
Mhm.
she can't walk no more, so I got to care for her. It's the same thing with the PTSD injury. Okay. And as we said, PTSD is not just a military disorder. Okay. Listen,
That's
it is important to never brush aside symptoms from PTSD. Never brush them aside. If you having problems in the intimacy department, talk to somebody.
yes.
Don't go around here looking at porn and trying to. I'm telling you, done it all. Done it all. Drinking, thinking if you get drunk and all. Listen,
Mhm.
if this right here ain't working right, all this right here ain't gonna be working right either.
That's correct.
I'm telling like a TI is.
That's right.
You have to know how to get that stress, control that anxiety, and you got to have a spouse that understands, hey, babe, you good?
Right.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. But maybe not tonight.
right.
And that's when the love come in. That's when the
Mhm.
love come in because, as they say, one day all you're gonna do is pat and chat. We ain't there yet, man. I ain't
right.
saying we there yet, but I'm telling you, it affects your life.
Yes.
It affects your life dealing with your finances. It affects your life talking to people, and I'm sure it happens the people that don't have PTSD or they think they don't, but you know what I'm saying. She know I'm 0 to 100. If I done had a long day and somebody toot the horn and tell me to move or something, I'm going off. I'm trying my best to calm that down,
right.
but I know my anxiety, I know my stress, even my neighbors. I have shared with them, the ones I hang out with, that I have PTSD and this is my triggers and XYZ. Because
Mhm.
if I'm around you, I want you to know if I just say, yo, man, I got to go. So it
Right.
is what you make,
However, we'll put this
comma,
disclaimer in there that PTSD is not an excuse
that, uh-oh.
for you to go and act a fool. No, that's no excuse.
So I can't go have a girlfriend and say PTSD did it.
Oh, Jesus. Fix it. Fix it.
Somebody might say, well, what is PTSD? What is post-traumatic stress disorder? That is a good question. That is a
Mhm.
good question. It could be anything from reoccurring painful memories of an event,
Mhm.
okay, not just military, of an event. I mean, it could be anything. The people from
Car accident. It could
car
be
accident,
anything. Yes.
getting a gun pulled on you, getting shot, anything. You know what I'm saying? Flashbacks, nightmares about the traumatic event. That could be one. Severe emotional distress or negative physical reaction to something reminding you of the event. I had to tell my wife that on Veterans Day and on days we had 9 brothers get killed in Iraq. And the thing is, Facebook will remind you every time. Every time that date comes around. So I let her know, baby, that date coming around, you know,
Mhm.
and that's all it is communicating
Yes.
with your spouse.
You have to. You cannot be in silence with this. You have to communicate. You have to get some help. You have to go to therapy alone and then go to therapy as a couple. You
Right.
have to.
And
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 that's
and and if you don't want to say therapy, then go to a support group. If you really,
support group.
if you really want to understand each other.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying? If you as a Facebook user just say Facebook memories are inconvenient at times. Yes, they are.
They are.
Yeah,
Yes.
yes, they are. If you really serious about making your marriage work, husband and wife, you would do what it takes. My wife didn't understand everything,
Mm-mm.
but she
And I
learned.
connected with the vet center, and they have support groups for spouses,
Correct.
spouses that have PTSD. And I don't know, I don't know why I was just thinking it was just wives, but in the group it was husband and
That's
wives.
right.
And, as they started to tell their stories one by one, I'm like, oh my God,
That's right.
it was so overwhelming. I looked at my little situation. I'm like, okay, this is nothing compared to what people have to do on a regular basis.
Correct.
People are afraid to leave their home. They're afraid to, go outside. Just the tremendous things that people are really facing. And
Correct.
I'm like, wow, this thing is deep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very affecting families now.
Yes,
I
it
mean,
is.
it's PT, like I said, it's not just military, is people getting shot. The police
Yeah.
pull you over. That's, you get, if you're a black man, you start getting trauma. You're like, here they come. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? But I'm gonna take a break right now and say this show, this Facebook Live is being sponsored by the Jamal Bates Morning Show, y'all. It's a nationally syndicated urban inspirational morning show hosted by multiple award-winning Jamal Bates, multimedia personality Ashley Stevens, and Rebecca Brumfield, and yourself, Vernon Hines, aka the Life Therapist. You can listen to us Monday through Friday, 6 to 10 a.m. Go to my website, www.thelifetherapist.com, and click on the listen button. All right. Listen, if you got any if anybody got any questions out there, you can post them, and we'll try to answer them as best we can. Because one thing that really what PTSD did to me, it made me numb.
Mhm.
I wouldn't cry.
At all.
Not crying. Tell my grandma passed, not, let's bury and move on, because that's what's my mentality.
Mhm.
She saw me cry. Well, first time you saw me cry was in my therapy session.
Right. Right.
Whoo, rough, y'all. It was rough. But how did that make you feel?
Um, I felt like, wow, you were beginning to get that release, because it's almost like she had triggered something in you, and you cried like a little boy.
Mm-hmm.
That little injured boy. It was just like, oh my gosh, he is really, and it made me, yeah, I was very empathetic. I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe my husband is, feeling this way. But it helped. It didn't hurt. It was
Correct.
just an eye opener, and you felt so much lighter, and I felt good too. And I'm like, wow, and she finally cracked that safe,
Correct.
because you
And
were
I think you,
holding it
I think,
all.
I think you love me a little more too. You
I
like,
did. I
yeah,
did.
yeah.
I
You
did.
put it on me that night. Uh, Listen, I want to give y'all some myths about PTSD. All right, myth number one: PTSD symptoms come right after the event. Now, while
Mm.
symptoms generally come within 3 months, they would take several months or even years to appear.
Woo.
And you know what I'm saying? We got a lot of Vietnam veterans out there, and y'all was living with your grandfather, living with your uncles, and what they used to say he was shell shock and stuff. That won't number PTSD.
Crazy Joe.
It won't
Mm-hmm.
number PTSD. That's all. Somebody that got walking around pushing a cart, as Raymond said last week, that's what they might want to do. To them,
Right.
that is what we want to do.
And some people don't want help.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. But I truly believe if you're in the marriage, you really might want to work on that thing.
Yeah.
Babe, what's myth number two?
Myth number two is it a sign of mental weakness? People deal with trauma in different ways, and developing PTSD has nothing to do with mental weakness. A variety of factors, such as the severity of a trauma, your personality traits, your
Say that again.
family support system,
Okay.
childhood trauma play a part in whether you experience PTSD. Now, let me say this, as far as your support system, your circle matters.
Yes, it does.
We are so blessed to have best friends in our lives that understand.
Mm-hmm.
We can talk to about anything. They know when Bernard is just, he's not feeling it tonight, or we all know the triggers.
Mm-hmm.
So much so they be like, you know what, you need to go home and go to bed. Just get out of our house and just go.
and I have set my life up that I'm good. I'm good with people who I know love me, telling
Yeah.
me. And I had, a friend of mine tell me, he said, man, if people really didn't know you, they wouldn't know you have PTSD. You know
Hmm.
what I'm saying? Because you see me, I'm happy go lucky, but you don't see me behind the scenes.
Right.
Maybe
Right.
here's a question. So how was dating and the initial phases of the relationship, and how long before you fully knew how severe his PTSD was?
Mm.
I think
Dating.
I think we covered that, yeah, a little bit
Yeah,
in the
the initial
beginning.
phase was a fairy tale.
Correct. Correct.
Because I mean the red we had on rose colored glasses. I didn't see nothing. I saw him every other weekend. We went out. We had a good time. Everything was perfect. Too
That's right.
perfect. But everything was perfect. It wasn't until I think when we became a blended family and the added pressure of life
Mm-hmm.
and
Life happened.
trying to maneuver, newly married, blended family, and just the other stuff that just normally comes up. And I noticed how he would just overwhelm himself. To me, it was on purpose. I'm like, good and well, you're not going to be able to accomplish all of this. But
Correct.
I think he felt like he wasn't doing enough, so it made him feel better just to load his plate, load his plate, load his plate,
Mm-hmm.
and realizing, babe, you can't do all that.
Well, let
But it put a lot of pressure on me.
correct.
That's why I think that, standing here today, yeah, I think I have secondary PTSD
Oh yeah.
from worrying about your spouse, worrying about how things are going to go today, tomorrow, next week, next
Is he
month.
is he gonna get a ticket driving to Fort Eustis every day for
Right. Oh,
because he
that
had
was that
because he
big
had five?
exactly road rage, all of that. So it gives you that. It's not. I don't want to say fear, but you're always holding your breath for the next whatever's going to happen.
Right.
Um,
So
yeah,
how do you feel now?
I feel good now.
Okay.
We're at a place where we have overcome a lot of obstacles. You trust me 1,000%, which is something that you were taught not to do. Just being
In
in
the
the middle,
war?
nothing.
Nothing.
But now that I really do have your best interest. That I will, we've sacrificed for each other, but I will sacrifice things to make sure that you're okay
Mm-hmm.
because
And
that's
vice versa.
vice versa. But that's really important to me.
Correct.
You are, you're my spouse, you're my best friend, you're my lover, you're all of these things. And the last thing I want you to feel is that you are a burden to me.
Because I'm telling you, at sometimes we will feel like a burden.
Exactly.
We would feel like a
Exactly.
burden, and we would say, we would say she's better off without me. She better off
Yeah.
with somebody who can, who probably can go to a place where there's a bunch of people. N- Most of the time, I force myself
Mm-hmm.
to be in an environment that I'm uncomfortable in because
Yes.
I still want my wife to have a life. And while I'm there, I make sure I'm engaged. But I tell
Mm-hmm.
you what, though, I'm always looking for a way of escape.
Always. Very high vigilant. Yes.
And I always let her know.
Sit with his back to the door. Even on today, we had stopped to get something to eat, and he came over to let me out the car, and I think I must have stepped on a water bottle, and the sound that it made to him, he really thought it was gunshots. So his reaction, I was like, "What's wrong, babe?" He was like, "Whoa, you stepped on that bottle, and I just didn't know."
And
You know,
and the,
hey, that's
and I
that's
did and I don't feel weak by saying that to her.
right,
You know what I'm
right.
saying? And she never come back with, now we might laugh about it later, but we ain't gonna let, she get me in the store and we be doing something. She was like, yeah, you had me kind of, you had me kind of scared there. But
Yeah.
I want to go with myth number 3. This is from the military people. They
Mm,
love this. It will hurt my career to get help or anybody. No, actually, the opposite could be true. Getting help will help you to function better, which may lead to greater opportunities or career advancement. Unless someone needs to be informed of your condition, for example, if you are suicidal, no one has to know that you have PTSD unless you tell that person. That is your right. Not
mm.
it won't mess with your security clearance. Well, to mess with your security clearance, if you don't take your meds, you don't go to your therapy, and you end up going in there like I was about to do, Shannon, and just go off on the job one day. You know what I'm saying? So that's really, it would not hurt your career. It would not, like I said, not getting the help. And there's that mental health right now is so big.
Mm-hmm.
People won't look at anybody that say, hey, I'm having an issue right now. So the last myth.
Myth number 4, treatment won't help anyway.
Ooh, I done heard that.
Yes, there are several effective treatments for PTSD. While it will take time and the symptoms may not entirely disappear with won't entirely disappear, but with proper treatment, the symptoms can decrease significantly.
Correct.
And I'm a
Correct.
witness to
And what I had to learn is there's different life and PTSD. Life don't care about PTSD, and PTSD don't care about life. They are going to
that's
happen.
right.
Period. If you is
That's
they are
correct.
going to collide. As my kids got older, I had
Mhm.
to readjust. As me and my wife got in different levels of our marriage, I had to readjust. You know, going to my daughter's track meet and they shot the gun off in there, and I fell on the floor. I'm still, it was a little embarrassing, but my daughter felt bad because she said, "Dad, I should have told you." No, I'm good. We still have to function in our marriages.
Yes.
We still have to function in life. But with anything, there are tools that you can put in your tool belt to help you. Therapy, group therapy, talking to somebody. I have a t-shirt that said, I talk to God and a therapist.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it said. I talk to God and a therapist. And let's jump on this, baby. One of our biggest support system was God and a positive ministry.
Yes.
A positive ministry that spoke about mental health, that had mental health doctors and stuff on staff.
Yes.
It made you feel like, okay, they concerned about the whole person.
Mm-hmm.
They concerned about because I'm telling you, we have to understand that I believe is going to get worse before it gets better as far as with the mental illness. Because I mean, you turn on the news, you're
Yeah.
on Twitter, you're on Facebook, it's always something tragic. So go ahead,
And
baby.
a lot of people, especially Christians, some of them believe, well, we just gonna pray it away. Okay, let me know how that turns out.
Hmm.
Prayer
Prayer
does
does
work,
work.
but you have to have both. You can't just pray. I mean, this is a real situation, real illness.
Correct.
That's treatable, but you have to do the work.
That's just like if they tell you that you have, you gotta get a stent in your heart. You be like, I ain't gonna do that. I'm just gonna pray that the artery open up. Good.
Right,
That's for you. But
right.
for me, I'm gonna pray and go get this stent put in. So we
Mm-hmm.
have to, and we are not sitting here, beating up anybody, telling anybody they stupid if they don't do certain things. We're just saying what we went through and what benefited our marriage and how we got through some of our mistakes by just main thing talking,
Mm-hmm.
sitting down and talking. Babe, what are your triggers? What I remember the biggest argument it was scary to her. It was scary to me too because I had blanked out. We had came back from the funny bone. You remember that night?
The
Yes,
pizza
we came back
story.
from the funny bone, and I wanted to get a piece of pizza out the refrigerator. She got in front of me and she said, "No, you cannot have that pizza." And I'm like, "Who are you talking to?" I mean, we had just had a beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
I blanked out. I picked her up and moved her out the way. Went and got the pizza, took a bite of the pizza and put it back in the refrigerator. And she looked at me like, Vernard. So the next day I went to lunch. That pizza was in my lunch. But anyway, but but we had a therapy appointment. The therapist explained to her, if you stand in front of him,
Mm-hmm.
when that to him, he's trapped.
It's a threat.
It's a threat
Mm-hmm.
because we was taught in the military, if it's in front of you and it stopped, keep going. So I didn't even realize that. So once I realized that, and she realized that, then we both had to do the work in the partner recovery. That if my wife stand in front of me, she's not a threat.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to
But
reprogram
meanwhile, anything that I have to say to you that's, that way, I need to stand to the
to the
side.
side. She was standing
Yeah.
to the side. I mean, it might sound trivial, it might sound, but
Mm-hmm.
it benefited our marriage, and it can benefit you if you just use the tools that's in the tool bag.
Yeah.
We had to move. I had to stand just now. I'm to a point now, but at that point, about 6-7 years ago, I wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't. Don't stand in front of me. It was a threat, even at work. Shannon would tell you, don't come and stand over my desk if I'm sitting down. Don't do that. It to me is but they knew that, so they would, they would stand to the side and say, "Oh, I forgot we can't stand,"
Right.
But it's like I let them know.
Mm-hmm.
So even with your kids, even with your grandkids, even with distant, even my kids understand, their spouses understand. And once my grandson get up, because we had him this weekend, and the boys sang with Boys to Men because he hit every note. The boy can hit every note, high note, baritone, and he hit one, and that sucker went up. So is not that I want everybody to change for me.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you shouldn't want everybody to change for you because you have PTSD. You should say, let me get these tools so I can be effective in my family.
Yes. Be present.
Be present.
Mm-hmm.
I can take my grandson to a baseball game. People say, man, you got PTSD, but how can you go to a football game with a bunch of people? I know everybody there's hollering. I know we hollering when we getting the first down. I know we hollering when there's a touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? It's like I'm in a controlled environment. To me now. Am I vigilant? Extremely.
Mm-hmm.
And I think everybody should be vigilant, whether you PTSD or not. So yeah, you have any closing? Well, we ain't closing. We got about 13 more minutes. But do you
I'm
have
trying to
any?
think of some more scenarios where it was a, a life lesson. Making plans. And here's the other piece of the PTSD. You may think your spouse is forgetting things on purpose
Woo!
or ignoring things or whatever. And I'm going to tell y'all, that is not always the
That
case.
was frustrating to her.
Very frustrating. And I'm like, why can't I just told you this yesterday? Why can't you remember? What's going on? I've written it down. What are you doing? Where I had to understand, whoa, that's part of that brain that's kind of damaged.
Mm-hmm.
Where let me find ways, or let me help him find ways that he can use to remember things that works for him.
Correct.
So that was an important piece, and that took a lot of just stress out of our marriage, because I'm like, okay, he's not doing this on purpose. Some things he can remember, like
Correct.
he can remember every game that Virginia Tech is going to play this year.
So somebody will say he can remember what he wants to remember.
Right. But
Hey,
it's the details that are missing.
yeah, I can't do.
Yeah, it's the details that
I'm not. Even in my job, when I had to leave, I switched to a job where it was detail oriented, and
Mm-hmm.
I just couldn't. I mean, hey,
Yeah,
I'm not. It is what it is. But what I can do, I'm good at. I don't
correct.
try to do something that I'm not good at,
Mm-hmm.
and that can be anything. That can be anybody. That's a life lesson.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And I truly believe God allowed our marriage to be this way because we was gonna be transparent. We just gonna tell it like it is.
Right.
Just
Right.
gonna tell it like it is. So, well, like I said, mainly we're spiritual people. You got to have some type of prayer life. You got to have some type of
Yes.
message that you listen to. You just got to be engaged
Mm-hmm.
with one
And you got
another.
love
Got to have
that
love.
requires to get through these tough times and understand he's not the man, he's not the person that I married. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because we're all growing and evolving anyway. but you have to just learn to educate yourself, understand each other.
That's right.
And it's not, I mean, PTSD in marriage does not mix well, but it can be okay.
Yes, it can.
It can be okay as long as you're on the same page and talk to somebody. If you don't feel comfortable, like you said, talking to a therapist, go to a support group,
Hmm.
or you can reach out to. At this point in the game, you can almost reach out to anybody. Most people, because everybody's suffering from
Yeah,
some type of trauma.
you don't want to reach out to anybody.
Well, not anybody, you
Yeah,
know what?
yeah, yeah. So yeah, 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 yeah. So
But yeah.
we just want to be like in our videos, okay? The videos that we put out, those videos came through. I had left my job, okay? I had left my job. I'm stuck at home 6 months after I leave my job. I was supposed to be doing comedy full time. COVID hit.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm sitting at home. Trish already had her plans that she do during the day anyway. So I feel like I ain't doing nothing. So we was going like this. I
Mm-hmm.
talked to my therapist. I shared with her my feelings of what's going on. She said, I can't tell you what to do. You're going to have to find something that's going to connect you and your wife back together. And it was them videos.
Yeah.
We started doing the videos. We started talking. We started laughing. We started
Mm-hmm.
doing it. So it felt like, okay, we finally, and I felt like, okay, I'm finally doing something. Because when I left the job, I felt a little bit like a failure.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Oh, you got an injury? You got a PTSD allowed you to lose your job? No, PTSD allowed me to gain my life.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to let somebody know right now. Let somebody know right now. I used to say PTSD messed up my life. Okay. PTSD didn't mess up my life. What messed up my life was me taking too long to go and seek help.
Mm-hmm.
That's what messed up my life. Me,
Wow.
me not going and say I need help. The longer it took me to go and seek help, yes, it was messing up my life. It was driving my kids crazy. They were like, "We scared of our dad. He always from 0 to 100. We don't know if we can talk to him. We don't know if we can,
Mm-hmm.
come in and jump on him. We don't." It was chaos. Once I
Yeah.
started going and putting the tools, and she started going to therapy, and the kids start understanding, it started getting a whole lot better. So don't allow PTSD to rob you of your joy that you can go and talk to somebody and get some help
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and get some help. So I didn't script this one, but I'm gonna put this on you. What would you tell that wife out there who's struggling, saying her husband won't allow her to know anything, or what would you say to that wife out there that's struggling? I'm gonna leave it that way.
I would say, go and talk to someone. Go and talk to a therapist. Or reach out to there's someone in the community that's dealing with the same thing that you're dealing with.
Mm-hmm.
Don't give up. Don't give up. Um, there may have been hurtful things that have happened in the past between you and your spouse because of the PTSD. But understand that's not that person. It's just like an addiction. That's not that person. But what's critical is that you find help for yourself as well as your spouse.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if they don't want to get help, then that's a whole nother thing. Eh, It's it's difficult to say to your spouse, "I need you to go get help," because they may not feel that anything is wrong with them.
Mm-hmm.
You
Mm-hmm.
know, some people feel like I'm fine. There's something wrong with you. But I really believe that love conquers all.
Mm-hmm.
Love never fails. And if you can just put yourself in in a position where you look at them as Christ sees them,
Mm.
it will change how you relate to them.
Wow.
Because you're not because it I because you said this before. I feel like I'm just damaged goods. No, you're not.
I'm
You're
damaged
not.
good with worth.
Hmm.
I'm damaged good with worth.
With worth, okay,
Yeah.
but not anymore
Correct.
because you know who you are
Correct.
now.
Correct.
But I'm telling you, you have to find that love that Christ has, and it's not easy. It's going to be like, I'm not doing it the way he talks to me or the way she talks to me, but it's not them. But they have to feel comfortable with you coming to you and sharing with you how they're feeling. But if you're going to take it and just throw it up in their face, well, remember when, blah, 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 blah. So you have to, prayer, you have to have God first. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, and you got
Without
to listen.
God in our lives, I don't know where we would be.
That's right. That's right.
Because and you have to have mentors. It's nothing wrong with having a mentor.
Right.
It's nothing
Wow.
wrong. You have a you have a tutor. If you're in school and you're having situations in school that you can't, fix, you have a tutor. You have coaches. Well, when you're playing sport, it's nothing wrong with having a mentor,
That's right.
a credible mentor,
That's right.
where you see that it's working in their life or people that they have touched. But don't give up. It is not the end. Divorce does not fix anything.
That's right. Because you will carry yourself into the next situation.
You carry it to the next. Exactly.
You got
Exactly.
to
As
you
long
got
as
to get
it's not an abusive situation or anything like that, you can get through it.
or yeah, not abusive.
No,
Abusive,
not
yeah,
abusive.
yeah,
No,
not okay,
no,
yeah,
it's done.
yeah.
Or
So so so
yeah.
you so you hit me the other night in my sleep. That wasn't abusive.
I didn't hit you. You were dreaming. That wasn't me.
Well, I'm gonna say to any man out there or any woman out there who's battling with PTSD, and you are not allowing your spouse who wants to help you or assist you
Mhm.
or be a partner in recovery, and you are not allowing them to do that part, you are hindering your growth in your marriage. Period, point blank. If it's
Yeah.
childhood stuff, talk about it.
Talk about it.
Talk about it. If you want to talk about it in a controlled environment, get you a therapist and talk about it in a controlled environment. But you're not going to thrive. We would not be thriving if we didn't go and talk to a therapist, anything like that. When we see people and they say, "Man, y'all are inspiration to us," y'all, that makes us fight even harder
Right.
to do what we need to do
Right.
because
And
God
it
called
keeps
us
us
to do this.
vigilant. It keeps us really humbled and vigilant because the enemy can come at any given time. We've
Correct.
seen that over and over. This 10th year of marriage, the testing,
The
it
year
has
of
been
testing,
a
we have
year
a
of
we have a joke, and we say January, February, and March of this year was teetotal hell in the Hines household.
ooh,
I
but
mean,
we made it. We got
chaos,
through it. It
and
was
we got through it. So now, when something happened, we said, "Glad this one in January, February, March," because I probably would have said, "You." We use that situation to go
oh,
back and look at it as though, wow. So
yes,
there are going to be times when it seems like all hell is breaking loose, but there's going to be times to know on the other side because it's the rhythm of life.
it is a rhythm of life.
And as always, we're going to wrap up, but as always, this is the stigma free, no judgment zone.
Correct.
Listen, I'm not licensed, I'm just medicated. My wife is my partner in recovery.
I'm a little
we
medicated too.
we do the work.
Yes.
We do the work to make our marriage better and to make our kids not have to walk on eggshells
Mm-hmm.
dealing with their father. So I really want to thank y'all for tuning in. It has been a blessing. I also want to say my wife, I did quit her business. So all those who saying I got fired, that's a story. I quit OCD. Let's get that straight right now. But
ED and PTSD did
did
not
not go together.
not
That did
business.
not work. No, Lord. So, hey, again, we knew our limitations.
Yes.
I was frustrating her more than she was frustrating me.
Woo.
So we want to thank y'all for tuning in tonight. And we just pray that something that we said resonated with you and that you can go forward in your battle, in your walk with this thing called PTSD. Because remember, everybody processes traumatic situations differently. I love you, baby. Thank you for being my guest on
I love
tonight.
you too.
All right.